What's up, guys? Welcome to another Merch Monday. My name is Nathaniel Hibbert, and this is my brother Stephen Hibbert. We do these updates about every week. I think we've been pretty consistent with them, especially this year. We haven't missed yet, so that's good. But yeah, we just do updates here in our merch community. Hopefully most of you guys know us here, but we had some new people get added, so I'm just trying to make sure we're including everybody as we are doing more and more outreach and growing our business. So we just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So that's the time that we have allotted to do this today. And we are just coming off of kind of a conference high, so we have a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we jump into all of that, I'll let Steven say a few things and I'll make sure everything's running correctly.
Yeah, we have deemed this 2019 the year of action. Like Nathaniel said, we are kind of switching things up a little bit. We adjusted a little bit very recently. And after going to this conference, I really feel like we made the right call. We are learning a ton. We don't get a lot of time to actually step back and look at our business. But as we were driving over to Miami, we spent a lot of time in the car just thinking about the bigger picture. Most of the time we're working very diligently on our business and then coming to find out that the teaching business is a business, and then having to spend a lot of time just setting up slides, setting up product mapping, how we're actually going to pull this stuff off. Me and Nathaniel step back and go, okay, what is the overall play? What is it that we're ultimately trying to do? What is it that we both feel like we are trying to help people with? And I think we've said this probably at different places, but never just this. Me and Nathaniel sitting down and go this is our goal. Our goal is to help you guys find your gifts and be able to use your gifts and build a business around your gifts. How we're kind of doing that might seem a little disjointed right now because it's merch focused, then it's kind of print on demand focused, but hopefully in time we'll be able to better explain everything. I kind of have a master plan of how I want to do this. We want to show people how to make a little bit of money so it frees up your time so that you can spend time learning and exercising your gifts and then understand how to build a business with that gift. So kind of the POD is let's teach people this because it doesn't take a lot of time and energy and effort. Once you kind of get it going, it's a lot of learning. But once you start that process, it start bringing in some money, and it kind of gives you a bit of freedom. And that's what I think learned from this conference, is especially money kind of buys that time. When you're broke like we have been and you have no money, it's very difficult to kind of move around or do anything. But at least when you start making some money, it does give you a little bit more freedom. And that's what we are hopefully teaching you at this base level of print on demand. We want to take it to these next levels, but our core that me and Nathaniel really feel passionate about is helping you guys find your gifts and using your gifts, again, to grow an actual business to sustain your lifestyle. If you want a travel all the time business, that's perfect. You can use your gifts to do that. If you want to grind on your business, that's perfect. If you're anywhere in between, we think you can use your gifts to do that. We were just even thinking about what mine and Nathaniel gifts are. I think we both have the gift of helping people, and it just manifests itself differently. Nathaniel's very good at graphics. I am very good at the analytics, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily my gift. It just allows me to help people. I was helping people before with selling books. I wouldn't say I was gifted in selling books. I just understand a lot of the processes to be able to build a system and then kind of teach people that so that they can at least, again, make some money so they can kind of free up and have some room to do what they would like to do and learn their gifts and use their gifts.
Yeah, that was a good word. I think this conference was just huge pat on the back of we are just moving in the right direction. Like Steven said, we kind of restructured things on how we want to move forward, and it was a little abrupt for both of us. It was just we had a plan, but now we think where we're going is much better. But regardless of all of that, our minds, I think, are in the right place, and so is our heart. A lot of this conference was about that, actually helping people. What is your gift? What are you trying to do? It was even pretty cool to see, other people measuring their success and success stories. That's something that we've talked about and something that we're both pretty passionate about. People weren't saying, oh, I made, they were saying how much money they were making, but also they were talking about we're actually reaching this many people. We're changing this many people's lives and having a little bit more of a conviction of what we're doing is helping change people's lives. So that was really cool to like, okay, we're on the right path. I think we've noticed that about ourselves before, but just making that more public, like,
Yeah, that
there's
was, I think, a
no,
huge takeaway. I think I've always kind of enjoyed just being behind the curtain and then kind of being pushed out last year, and we try to go on a kind of a different journey. I said in our VIP group that I felt like a reluctant leader. I felt called to lead, but I was just like, I don't know if this is a good fit for me. But I think, especially this year, really feeling empowered, like we are leading people. We are really trying to help you guys. We are trying to give you a lot of business knowledge so you can take it and use it. But the ultimate goal is that we can help you with your gifts. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but I feel that's what that conference really convicted me was we are doing a disservice to everybody by not really promoting ourselves, especially outside this group. It was kind of weird to think about it while we were driving. Like we went and did presentations, we did all these things, and then it was like we didn't let them in. And it was like, it's kind of a slap in the face of like everything that we're trying to do. And then looking back and realizing like, oh, okay, we were out there, we were trying to help people. We just kind of dropped the ball a little bit and not following through. And then talking to somebody today to go, if you're not using your gifts and promoting it, you're not truly reaching people, and people aren't going to listen to you unless they kind of know you. And the only way they're going to get to know you is if you put yourself out there and really try to promote. It's something that me and Nathaniel really don't like to do, is promote and push and give it the rah-rah, but I see the power of it now. Like we kind of have to do that to draw people in so that we can truly help them.
yeah. So we're not saying we're going to like completely change this thing into just a complete hype show, but just realizing like there is a place for that inside of this business. It's not really what we like to do, but in order to reach a bunch of people and tell them about, we do think what we're telling you guys and teaching will change lives. So if we really feel that way, we should be making it easier to get into this group, making it easier to get into our community, and also like not be so reluctant to like say what we're doing and share, the teaching that we have and things like that. So we definitely learned a lot from the 10X conference. That I don't know if we said it was the Grant Cardone 10X conference. It was down in Miami this last weekend. It was really good. We learned a lot of things from it, and not necessarily just what they were talking about, but because of the way me and Steven think, we were just kind of like picking apart all the little things that they were doing too, which was fun. But the first thing that we realized was like the size of this conference was just massive. It was really big, and just wrapping our heads around like, how do you communicate to a crowd this big, especially when you're live, like they're on stage trying to, connect with everybody. That was a really interesting thing. And I think it drives you to do things that might not seem as genuine, but it definitely, like, again, like the purpose of why you're doing these things, you have to keep that in mind. So it wasn't like we ever got one-on-one time with Grant, or he was ever like, pull out your laptops, we're going to like work through this stuff. Like, that's where my heart is. That's what I want to do. But understanding now, like, better, like he had 3 days, and what he did was really fantastic with that time, even if it wasn't like directed at someone like me, who's just like, I just want to like get to work while we put aside time to work, because I love to travel and do so many things. Like if I'm sitting down to work, like it better be me on my laptop, like getting things done. But understanding like there's time to learn, there's time to do all the crazy stuff that he was doing. Especially,
and the time to think. I think that was another thing that they pushed during this presentation, was just like, life is crazy. A lot of things are pulling your attention. That you're in business, you have to give yourself time to process information. There's a lot of decisions that you have to make. Don't get fatigued by all the decisions, and actually take time. And the lady that made the Spanx was there, and she said her greatest time of thinking is in the car. She lives 5 minutes from work. She can actually just drive there and get there real quick, but she actually takes time and drives around because that's where her best thinking time is. And I think we do that too in the car. I think that's what this drive really showed us, is like, oh, we need to like actually schedule this into our day, instead of just like, oh, we got to do this, then we're stacking it on top of this. We need to schedule in thinking time.
Yeah, so again, just like a really big pat on the back of a lot of things that we were doing. We usually start like actually working together a little bit later in the day, around like 10 a.m. But in the morning, it's more of like us just like thinking and working through what that day is going to look like, what the week's going to look like, and thinking through some of our problems before we just like jump up and get back into the office. But yeah, the opener that he had for the conference was pretty crazy. He actually like skydived in and like parachuted into
the stadium.
The stadium. It was so big that it was held in a baseball field, and the roof on the place
Marlins
could
Stadium.
move, back and forth. So they had it off, and then he like parachuted in. It was just like everyone was like crazy, and then like I think he said he spent like $5 million on like the audio and visual and the stage and everything. So like of course there was like fireworks, yeah, like actual fireworks inside of the stadium going off. There's like crazy mist machines and all kinds of very over the top things. And like when you sit down and like I was ready to like learn some things, and then it's just like this rock star like show going off with he had like a WWE like entrance. It was like a little off-putting, but then again remembering like why we're there, who he's trying to reach out to, like he wants it to be, you know, impressive, the things that he can do now that he's at this point
to get people and draw them in,
and to really start things like on a high note. I think if he just came out like spitting like raw facts and like really telling people what they need to do,
the energy level would have.
Yeah, it would have been like a long whatever. We're there for like 10 hours in one day, so it would have really been like drug things out. But starting on like a super high note, just as like the really over the top entrance, was really interesting to see. And again, just like thinking about why he's doing this, I don't think anyone like expected that to happen. But then like taking a step back, like okay, it makes sense of why this is happening right now. So the overall feel of the conference, it was just, you know, you had to like just think about why everything was happening. And I don't know if that's because me and Steven are in this like teaching space and we really care about getting better. But that was something that like we kept going back to. Like anytime we were like, why am I watching Snoop Dogg at 9 a.m. in the morning, like sing to 2 of his songs or perform 2 of his songs? Like, what is this going on right now? I was like, oh yeah, like this second day, people probably stayed up way late last night, like making connections. We probably got like 4 or 5 hours of sleep.
Not much.
Yeah, and then we had to like drive, deal with traffic, like all of this other stuff is going on. So like just to do that to like clear your head, like, oh yeah, let's like re-engage with what's going on here. You just had to like, you know, we were just thinking about like everything that he did was strategic, and it was pretty cool to see that and how it did keep us pretty engaged for the 3 days that we were just sitting in one spot basically. So thinking about that overall feel and thinking about like how we can duplicate some of the things that he did, maybe not that crazy. And it's not really like our style, but again, like doing things that maybe not fit our style just because it's going to come across and engage more people. That's all interesting.
Yeah, stuff that we'll definitely have to talk about and test and try. It's very interesting to see somebody else at a high level of production do things. The way that they structure the conference too, they kind of set it for the first day was going to be a little bit more around sales. The second day was going to be a little bit about marketing. And then the third day was going to be about execution. I think we thought it was going to be like information heavy, where it's like, oh, here are some things that I can actually put into action. I think just like Nathaniel said, because it was so large and because it was you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to give that many people like actual steps of how to do things, but they did give a really good like overview of a lot of things and like how to mentally think about these things. And then each presenter kind of broke it down differently in their presentation. And I that really resonated with me. I don't know if you want to talk about anything anymore about like the days before I kind of break down how my overall feeling about the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it was cool that they like broke it down at the beginning of like what you'll be learning. And it was impressive because, you know, throughout the conference, they were asking like what industry people were in. There's people from, you know, real estate to banking to e-commerce,
individual product,
like actual storefronts. So that was really impressive too. Like all the information, I think just about all the speakers, like we pulled something from. It wasn't maybe, you know, everyone had the super engaging hour and a half that they were talking, but I don't think there was anyone who went up on stage and was like, oh, why was this guy here? Like it totally didn't fit like for me. And I think what we're doing is like a pretty niche thing, like e-commerce through print on demand product or platforms. For a banker to be able to relate to that same information, like that was pretty amazing. I think that all the speakers had like a place in this conference, and I think breaking it down each day of like today we're going to talk about sales, tomorrow's going to be marketing, so we just knew what we were getting into. It wasn't the best laid out thing. The agenda was all over the place, but I mean they did a really good job of like, you know, what they had.
Yeah, I think any big event like that, you're going to have problems. And just I think because me and Nathaniel like things to be at a high quality level. Just thinking about, okay, there's going to be a whole bunch of people here. We should have a host that kind of tells people which event is coming, what speaker is coming, and just letting the masses know. And they just kind of like went from speaker, there was some dead time, went to another speaker. Then it was like, is it lunchtime? Like there was no real indication of what was next.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like all the credit to him and his team of like what they're doing, but definitely room for improvement. And I think that's like mine and Steven's like mentality, anyways. It's just like, how can we improve everything? So I don't think there's any event that we've ever gone to is like everything was exactly perfect. So we're not trying to like trash this event or talk
No,
badly
of
about
course
it.
not. Yeah.
Just eye-opening things for us to think about. If we ever do put on a conference, something like this, like they're all just notes running in the back of our head that if we do something like this, here's how we can improve it. Or as we're, how can we apply that to what we're doing right now? We know communication is a big thing that we might not be doing like the most fantastic job at. So maybe that's why we're more crucial on other people. Like especially me, like I'm taking that really to heart this year to like try to communicate as clearly as possible. And just, we have that kind of as one of the things we're aiming to do is just better communication, more clear of what we're doing, things like that. But if you want to wrap up your impressions on the 10X so we can talk about some of the other stuff going on this week.
Yeah, I think my overall impression and kind of why I was there is I just wanted to see what was going to go on. I've been to a lot of conferences, but they've always been just smaller. I think maybe the bigger ones that we've gone to is like CES, where it's a couple thousand.
Yeah.
But this was by far the biggest one I ever went to, and just seeing
some crazy number,
30,000 is what they said, but I'm not sure.
Who knows?
Just seeing all the presenters that I'm kind of looking up to. I see that they're kind of ahead of me. They're where I eventually want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to say I want to be on a stage of 30,000. That's not really something that I'm thinking about right now, but I do want to get my message across clearly. I want to make my presentations stand out and be impactful. So just watching them on that level, seeing how they come up, seeing each one of them told a story, and the story was very impactful. And then like each step that they were doing, because I think I'm trying to really get better at this, I had a different way of looking at it. I think people there were taking in the presentation when I was kind of dissecting it as it was going on and taking notes differently to go, oh, this was very important that he did like this. Lay out everything that they're talking about before they kind of go into it. Have a roadmap, kind of stuff that we've talked about in our inner circle group now, but just seeing other people on a higher level doing it and then going, oh, that's how you can execute and actually do those things was super impactful to me. So I guess what I would like to tell this group is whatever you're attempting to do moving forward, look for people ahead of you and take notes. Take all the information that they're telling you and try to use that information, but also see how they're actually operating. How are they doing things? I think that's why I like this group, is because we kind of we tell you kind of what to do or what we suggest you do, and then we show you the over shoulder. So you get both ways of learning it. You see kind of what we're saying, we're laying it out, and then we're showing you the actual over shoulder so you can implement that. And then we try to tell you, like, this is how we do it. It might not be a perfect fit for you, but you should at least try to implement this piece into your system so that you can build your business around this idea.
Yeah. And to touch on that and to touch on some things I said before, just like thinking about the purpose of why people are doing it. That was a big thing for us at this conference. So like, okay, why is, again, Snoop Dogg, Little John, like all these guys who came out on stage, like, why is this happening right now? But also, like Steven said, like thinking about the person ahead of you. It doesn't have to be us. It can be in whatever industry, but thinking about why they're doing certain things. Why is this person, constantly running ads on Facebook to put them in front of me? Why is this person, doing X, Y, or Z? And really thinking about, that purpose. And does this actually benefit you in any way? Looking, you can see if this person's doing this for this reason, is it going to actually benefit me? Am I going to be able to get any value out of that? Or is this just something happening that I don't necessarily need to like pay attention to? Like this conference as an overall was very like interesting for us to look at. I was like, okay, this isn't, again, that time that I wanted to like just break out my laptop and like actually
get to work.
That wasn't the purpose of that. And so it didn't benefit me in this way, but it did benefit me when I started looking at, okay, how are these people selling on stage to all, 35,000 people that are here or whatever? How are they doing certain things? And that was a huge benefit to us because again, we're kind of in this space. We're not doing anything to that level. And I don't know if that's even where our heart is to do something to that level, but it's a lot of value that we can pull out of that. Just how can we communicate to this group? How can we present things in a way that makes sense? All of those types of things are just thinking about the benefit to us. It's not necessarily what they're saying. Sometimes it's how they're saying it or how they're presenting it. Like that's the true value of what you could be getting out of looking at someone who's just ahead of you.
Yeah, I guess to go back to promoting, we have ideas of how to promote things. We've tested a few things, but I think, need to just say what we're doing more. We're currently doing a class with Jenny, the 100 products in 6 weeks. I think we might have talked about it once or twice in this group, but we're going to attempt to, I don't know about beat everybody over the head with it, but just let everybody know. So we have someone helping us with the email list now. We like making these videos. We like going live. We're going to try to do post. If we can get you guys' feedback on that stuff, and just if you've seen it, I guess is really what we should be asking. If you put thumbs up or a comment or something, just letting us know that you've seen it will be a big help for us to go, okay, this is how we should be doing things. People like this. They don't necessarily like this. They like it in video form. They like it in a post. They like it in the email. We're just trying to better understand our audience and let you guys know what we are doing. Like Nathaniel said, the communication is really what we are taking to heart this year and trying to get a lot better at. So we are doing the 100 products in 6 weeks. We have a promotional code for this group. The price is $279. With this promotional code, it takes $50 off, so it should be $197, I believe, at the end. But we're going to post it here. Today is the day that it starts. I believe the group is going to be open for another week, and then after that, it's going to close down. But we're going to try this week to just keep on promoting different things, talking about it differently, sending in the email. So just letting you guys know what we have going on, because we do think that's the direction that we're going to be moving in. It's a Jenny's spin kind of on the whole situation. We want to show you guys how to use different skills and use it in the full print-on-demand space, and then kind of grow a business from that. But this is a condensed version of what we're doing. We're going to lightly talk on KDP. We're going to lightly talk on merch. We're going to lightly talk on Etsy. We're going to show other print-on-demands. We're going to kind of show a overall tracking system, how to actually use all these things together so you can kind of get a better picture of the avatar and then target them, and then how to actually build like a business using each of these platforms as a tool, not just a merch business, because you're really just an Amazon seller at that point. And we want to show you guys how to take the power back in your own hands and have a successful business with multiple income streams.
Yeah, that's really where our heart is at this year. I mean, it's in a lot of places, obviously. But something we've talked about a lot last year is like moving forward outside of merch. And so that's what we're starting to focus on. I mean, it's only the second month, and we have talked about a few other things already, but we want to do a much better job. And so this 100 courses, 100 products in 6 weeks is our first like collaboration course to talk about other things outside of merch. We have a lot of information to share with you guys, but that'll be the first place that we're starting to do that. And so really like this year, what we want you guys to start focusing in on is like a few niches. We've talked about how we do discovery research and how we're always constantly like testing and trying new things. But something that we've seen really help us as we are now on multiple platforms and selling a bunch of different products is knowing your core niches. We have 2 to 3 that we can go to basically on any platform now and kind of know who that avatar is, what type of products they're buying, what type of keywords they're typing in.
What art resonates with them.
The art, like we know kind of that, niche. So when we target them, we can, see results from that.
Up our conversion rates.
Exactly. So we think that's a really powerful thing to be doing. We love merch. We still are using it. But to bring that information and use it in other places, Steven's talked about, building out multiple products and even taking this into like, private label and other things like that. Like the best way to do that is know a niche that you can go after. Have 2 or 3 of them that you really understand. When you put shirts in there, your conversion rate is much higher. It doesn't have to be 100%. But just a much higher conversion rate of like actually getting your shirt on page 1 in the top 10 and actually seeing sales. That really helps when you're going to those other platforms to have a good place to start. And there's so many things that you have to learn, as long as you can go back that being kind of your roots.
Base.
And your, I don't know if it's your community, but like the place that and understand those customers and can provide value for them in the products that you're putting in multiple different places. So for your action step this week, we want you guys to think about that, whether that means using your CSV files and merch reports and going through and really looking at, okay, what are my highest selling niches? Or if you just want to, scroll through all of the shirts and see what have you posted the most, what have you enjoyed making shirts around the most and had some success with. However you want to do that, just start narrowing down some of the niches that, are the most successful for you. That's going to be really powerful this whole year as we talk about other products and other places that you're putting those. But just having that in the back of your head, so all of this new information that's coming in, you don't feel overwhelmed. It's like, oh my gosh, now I have to learn this new platform and I have to learn new customers. We've found that similar customers are on a lot of the same platforms. So if you can have that customer base that you're targeting and just go to different, like I said, platforms, it just makes learning and the information that you're taking in seem less overwhelming. And you can actually take action on that stuff. Because once you understand, oh, this is how I put things on Etsy, then you just use all the information that you've learned from merch and apply that directly to Etsy.
Yeah, and this might be a longer process for some people, especially if you're starting out. You kind of have to, I use the analogy of like a kid. When you're a kid, you don't know what sport really resonates with you. You might have some that you like, but you're going to play almost every sport. The younger you are, you're going to play soccer, t-ball, all the sports. And then as you grow, you're going to be like, oh, I like soccer a lot more than the rest of these sports. And then when you go to high school, you focus in solely on soccer. And then by college, you're really only playing soccer. That's kind of what we want to help you guys with. We don't know exactly where you're at in your journey. If you are just starting out, you might have to try a ton of niches to kind of understand what resonates with you. What do you feel like you resonate with the customers? How much understanding do you have on different niches? If you've been selling for a while, like Nathaniel said, if you run the CSVs, you should start to get an understanding of, oh, I've been testing out a lot of these niches, but I'm really selling 80% of my shirts in this niche. I should really be focusing in on this niche, and it will help me with my conversions. So the advice that we give you is kind of to everybody. It's very general because there's a lot of people in this group and we don't know exactly where you're at. That's why I think Nathaniel loves doing those account audits, because he can give you exact feedback and like what you should be doing. We have a lot of great advice, but it might not be great advice for you where you're at right now. Mm-hmm. And when Nathaniel can do those account audits, it's exactly for you at the place that you're at. If you have 100, if you're at the 100 tier, if you're at a pro tier, he can tell you, okay, this is what I would be doing. This is how I would look at this niche. This is how I'd be going after the art. These are the keywords that I'll be using. I'd be testing in this way. I'd be tracking in this way. Testing and tracking is definitely part of your business that you need to get good at, but depending on where you're at and how much time you have, everything can kind of be different. So I just want to start, I think when we talk here, just saying, hey, this is general advice, and just understand where you're at in your journey. It might not be a great advice for you, but if you're here, this is great advice for you. If you're kind of moving forward past this, then you should really be paying attention to this, and we'll push you towards like Nathaniel's KDP art class. If you're doing KDP and you feel like you understand you have niches, that KDP art class is a great place for you, because now you'll be able to understand how to use that program to do both merch and KDP and move your business in a more concise direction quicker using the stuff that you're already doing. You'll be stacking information instead of just going, like Nathaniel said, oh, I'm learning this. Now I knew a new platform. Now I got to learn all this stuff. I got to learn a new customer base. Everything that we're trying to teach you should stack. So every time you move to a new thing, it should get easier because you can bring all that information with you.
Right. And don't feel like afraid to ask us. You're like, hey, you guys are talking about this. I had some people reach out to me, and I love taking these questions because people are asking them to me. But they're like, hey, I'm hearing about this KDP thing. Is this class you're going to teach going to cover everything? Is that a direction I should be moving in right now? And just having that conversation of like, okay, where are you at? What are you trying to do? Are you ready for this next step? Don't be afraid to ask those questions. We ask them in the group. I mean, this community has been extremely helpful for us, and we don't get a lot of like negative comments, or if they are any negative comments, people are like, hey, maybe you should, deal with that or something. But if you have any of those questions, like, is this for me? Is this the direction I should be moving in? Feel free to ask those. We don't want you guys to feel overwhelmed, but we also want to start sharing a lot more knowledge and information that we have for you guys. So just keep that all in mind. Again, the same thing that we said to the conference applies to, how we're going to be moving forward. Just think about, is this information for me? How is it beneficial to me? And we can help you through that. You can reach out to us. We aren't that big. You guys can still ask us questions. We get back to you. So we want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable with everything we're doing. And we don't want to feel like we're pushing you guys. Okay, now we've talked about merch. Let's instantly jump into this next thing. Like, just because we're talking about something new, just because we'll be doing new courses, doesn't mean that we're trying to shove everybody into them. We want to make sure that you guys are growing at a pace that makes sense for you. So, as we're almost at a half hour here, we did have a couple of questions that I wanted to quickly answer, and then we'll do a shout out, and then we'll do what's coming up for this Wednesday. But to answer the 2 questions that I saw this week, and at any time if you guys have questions, I know we say this a million times, but you can post it in the group, no problem. And we'll, try to answer them best we can, or we'll try to answer them here live on Merch Monday.
Yeah, and there's a lot of knowledgeable people in this group.
Definitely.
So my inbox is kind of full, but if you reach out to Dale, I know he likes answering those one-on-one, but it's even probably more beneficial to you if you ask them in the group, because other people that have been doing sales in a different way from us will be able to answer your question more concise, or at least give you a different viewpoint on it. And like we said, we might be answering your question thinking that you're here or wherever, and we might answer it in a certain way, and then that wasn't really great. It's good advice, but it's not for me. And then another person that answers it has a better understanding of where you're at, and they can answer it more concisely to you.
Right. So we don't have all of the answers, but we do like to, give you the best advice that we can. Shay was asking about resizing a .png file. I always use Photoshop. It's the most file-friendly editor out there that I've come across, but there are platforms that you can use. Shay was actually saying that she uses Illustrator, and right inside of Illustrator, you can look up a video on YouTube of how to just resize a PNG, and there will be videos on that, so that's a great way of doing it. But if you don't have one of those programs and you have someone creating the art for you, and you don't feel comfortable asking them to change it for any reason, there are web-based platforms that can resize PNGs for you. I haven't personally used them, so I can't tell you about the quality and all of that. But I would say just try it out for yourself. If you're not happy with the quality, maybe look at something like, getting Photoshop or asking someone else. There are online tools, like graphic editors online, that you can upload those to and resize them as well. So if that's more of a question, I think she got a good answer, but if it's more of a question, if anybody else has a question, feel free to ask that question again, and I can look at some of the tools that maybe you can do that with. And then Peggy was asking some questions about the KDP class that we just did. Again, we did that last week, and that was just for the art in KDP. It's not a full everything incorporated in one class. We will hopefully be teaching that soon, but not right this second. But you can learn that in the 100 products in 6 weeks if you're interested in that. And she was just asking about the background and how to replace the actual template that we put in there with an image that she wanted to use on her book. And if you click on the template in the background and actually go up to replace, which is like a new menu that pops up above it, you can put in whatever image you want there. The thread for that is much longer and much more in detail. So if you're having that problem, feel free to go read that thread. But really what I wanted to answer that question saying is, if you have any questions about any of the classes that we're teaching, don't feel like you have to, hold that question or look for another group to pop up where you can ask that. If you had a question about bootcamp, feel free to ask that over in the bigger merch group. We don't mind, some of the information from those courses coming out in the Wingman group to help you guys actually answer those questions. We know we've closed a lot of groups in the past just to keep everything organized, but that doesn't mean that we don't want you guys asking questions about that stuff. So if any questions about any classes we do anywhere, feel free to ask them right here in this bigger group, and we will try to get to them as best we can. And like Stephen was saying, there's someone in this group that can probably answer the question more direct to you than necessarily we can, so don't feel shy to ask those questions either. All right, you want to do the shout out for this week?
Yeah, I want to shout out Jenny Hunt. She's been a good friend of ours for a while now, and I've really enjoyed her coming into our group. Even though we kind of had that in multiple places, it was very interesting, something new that we wanted to try. But I enjoyed her coming into our group and just having an open conversation. We've had other people on Merch Mondays, and it's something that I think this year I really want to do more of. I think those people have a different viewpoint on things, especially the way that Jenny had it, where she was just asking general questions, and then we all three would just answer it in our own perspective. I think allows people watching it to go, okay, when Jenny answered it, I didn't quite get it, but now when Athena answered it, I get it. Or the Hibbert brothers have been saying this for this whole time, and I never really resonated with me, but as soon as Jenny answered it, a light bulb went off, and I can now take action on that. We have a lot of friends in this space, and it's a little odd because before we had made this new shift, we didn't really know the direction we were moving, now that we kind of feel like we have a better heading, we now can start bringing those people in to benefit this group, because now we'll be able to go, okay, let's have an open conversation on this. Let's talk about these topics. If we're moving more in KDP, let's bring Jenny on because Jenny knows a lot about KDP. There's other people that we know in different spaces that we can go, okay, our group now we're mostly talking about this and we need people to get over this problem. Let's bring in these people to address this from a bigger picture so that we can help more people. So if you guys like that, definitely let us know. If you have people that you would like us to interact with, do an interview, I don't know exactly what to call that other than just have an open conversation with, let us know. We have a loose idea of who we want to bring in. We have a much better idea of the direction that we're moving. So we want to keep those people around the topic that we will be talking about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I really like the format that we did with Jenny, where it was just like open questions. It was based on a webinar that we did with her a while ago, but just to have that conversation openly, like, okay, what do you think about this? Or, what are the benefits of doing things this way versus yes, other way? And there just wasn't like scripted information. And we can go through slides if that's more interesting and more direct. But I think having those open conversations where everyone can kind of add a question or we can answer them and dissect like what's going on here. There's a lot of value in that, and just getting different people's perspective on it. Like Steven said, it might answer something for you in a new way. So we really enjoyed that. We always like talking with Jenny, and clearly we're doing this new course with her, so we love working with her. But yeah, like Steven said, if there's anyone else that you guys would want us to do that with, feel free to comment and let us know who that would be. All right, to wrap things up, coming up this Wednesday, we are going to be talking about our favorite speakers from the 10X conference. There was a lot of information there, so instead of making this an hour and a half long, we just thought we would save that for a Wednesday video. Me and Steven both had people that we liked for different reasons, and we got different things out of them. So we did want to bring that information here, but we just think doing it on a Wednesday will fit a little bit better than trying to make this video super long. So that's something you guys can be looking forward to. And just us talking about other things that we've got going on this week. But we love answering your questions and helping you guys in any way we can. Now that we're back from Miami, I know I missed a lot of messages over the last 4 days that we were gone. So trying to catch back up with that, but feel free to reach out, and I love helping you guys. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Feels good to be back. We'll see you later.
Thanks, guys, for checking out the video. My name is Steven. This is my brother, Nathaniel. Together, we are the Wingman.
If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out our other videos or like, comment, and subscribe on this one.